Hey friends, welcome back. I am Danae Peterson. I am your Track 2 host over here, and I am so glad you're here. You are currently watching the Track 2 sessions, so make sure you're in the right place. And I am going to be bringing on soon Rick Hart and Wendy Olson of Lighthouse for the Blind of Collier County, presenting on low vision tools for your computer or your devices. So I'm actually really excited for this. Okay, so let me introduce you first to our session speakers. We actually have Rick Hart, who joined Lighthouse of Collier in February of 2015. His primary responsibilities are to teach assistive technology lessons and facilitate their weekly adjustment to vision loss support groups. As both an individual with vision loss due to retinitis pigmentosa and a counseling background, Rick knows firsthand what it is like to live with vision loss. He shares his field experience and his life experience to help his clients build skills and increase their confidence. We also have with us Wendy Olson, who works as a certified vision rehabilitation therapist and an orientation mobility specialist for the Lighthouse of Collier in Naples, Florida. She has more than 20 years of experience in the field of education and rehabilitation for persons of low vision and blindness. After their remarks, we'll have a short Q&A session before we take a quick break and head into our next session. So go ahead and listen in, place your questions over in the chat. You can type those in, and then you'll be able to ask those live as we go on. We're super excited to hear from Rick and Wendy, and they have so much to share, so let's bring them to the stage. Hi, Rick. Hi, Wendy.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're good. Well, thank you for inviting us.
Yes, thank you.
I did want to just real fast ask, am I saying it correctly? Is it Lighthouse of Collier?
Collier.
Collier. Okay, like Collie, like the dog.
Yes, in Naples, Florida. Right. Sunny Naples, Florida.
Yep.
That's so fun. Beautiful out there, I'm sure. I'm actually in Arizona out here in Phoenix, so
okay.
It is plenty warm.
Yes.
But I wanted to wear a sweater because it's October. So, I mean, I just cranked my air conditioning down.
Yes.
It's fine.
I'm from Phoenix, so I know all about it. Well, thank you for inviting us. We are going to do a presentation called Low to High Tech Solutions for Living with Vision Loss. We actually should have called it No Tech to High Tech. So, because we're going to be covering the no tech and the low tech as well, which can be very helpful, equally as helpful. So, now can you see our slides? Here we go. Okay, now you're controlling the slides, correct? Or do we control the slides? I thought we did. No. Okay. Next slide, please. Or I guess we control it. Okay, here we go then. Okay, our mission at the Lighthouse of Collier is to foster independence and enhance the quality of life for the blind, visually impaired, and their caregivers. What do we do? What we do is not unique to other agencies for the blind and visually impaired. We all pretty much do the same thing. We teach tools, tips, techniques, and technology to help people maintain their independence or obtain independence, whether it be the work setting, the home setting, or in the community. I think it's really important to start with no tech options because they can be immediate in terms of helping a person become independent in a certain skill area. I have up on the screen various no tech options such as high contrast measuring cups. We have a person using a check writing guide. We have a lady accessing her microwave using bump dots. Bump dots are an amazing tool to help people access their kitchen appliances,
washer and dryer, keyboards. The list goes on.
Yes, and immediately someone can access their microwave and appliances. We also have there's a variety of different tools, for medications, large print boxes, braille boxes, different shapes and sizes of medication boxes, so people can independently sort and administer their medications. We have a host of large print calendars, pens, papers, envelopes, checks. And also, we have a lady here who adapted her entire closet with buttons of different shapes, so she knows the colors of her buttons, colors of her clothes, and of course the white cane. If you want to say anything about the white cane,
One of the greatest tools invented. Simple, no-tech solution to becoming independent, navigating my surroundings completely alone. It's a great tool. No tech.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What about rubber bands? Can I throw an ad in on
You
that?
could, yeah, of course.
Here's a simple solution for anybody who's in the shower, sighted or not. Often you're going to close your eyes when you're washing your hair anyway. You get the shampoo in your eyes. Shampoo, conditioner bottles are exactly the same. So if you want to know the difference between the shampoo and conditioner, put a rubber band around the shampoo. I mean, something that simple can just make a difference. Make life a lot easier. And there's a lot of little tricks like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a no-tech solution.
Again, tools, techniques, and technology.
Yes.
Lots of easy, quick techniques that we teach.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on to the low-tech options. There are a lot of great low-tech options as well that are very, very easy to learn and can instantly enable a person to be independent with that skill area. So, for example, I don't know if anybody's seen the item on the left. That's called a liquid level indicator for our folks that have difficulty pouring hot liquids, for example, coffee. You can literally put it on the edge of a coffee cup. And when the liquid goes up to the top of the cup, it'll start to beep or sometimes play a little song. So you know that the cup is getting full.
Yeah. I like to use that at the water cooler here at work because the water cooler, you're bent down and your hands underneath, and I can't see the level of the water coming as I am mostly blind. So I put one of those level indicators in and I just confidently and comfortably press that hot water button until the sound goes off. And then I walk away. Don't have to worry about spilling hot water over my fingers.
Or if you have guests over and you don't want to put your finger in the cup, which you may do by yourself at home, those come in handy. There are a variety of different kinds of extra large print remote controls for people with low vision. We have the alarm clocks. There's a huge array of alarm clocks. Of course, you have your iPhone, which we'll get into, higher tech option. iBill reader. Those are money readers, which you can put currency in. It's about the size of a key fob. And you can literally put $1, a $5 bill in the slot there and press the button. It'll read it to you. It's actually a free device from the Library of Congress. There are a host of audio stickers, devices that actually, it's a sticker that you put on anything, a pill bottle, we have an example of. You could put it on file folders, clothing labels. We made a calendar. There's a picture of a lady using a calendar to record her appointments for the month. So audio stickers, there's a whole host of ways to label items that you need to remember or cannot identify the print on. And those are very easy to learn how to use. So I have it listed as a labeling wand. Okay, anything else for low tech you want to mention, Rick? There are several
What about
items.
Just high contrast lighting? Things of that
Yeah, we didn't mention just adapting your environment to increase visual access in the home. Lighting for people with certain eye conditions, and sometimes you need to control the amount of light. Using high contrast towels or on the back of your furniture.
What I like is they have a two-sided cutting board. One side's white, one side's dark. So if you're chopping a light vegetable, you could put it on the dark side. So you could, if you still have some vision, you could see the contrast of the food on the dark side. And then dark vegetables or whatever you're cutting flip over to the light side. Simple things.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Let me turn this. Okay, now we're on to simple talking devices. And there are a host of talking devices. Again, we could not display all of the talking devices here. Most of you are familiar with the Alexa or the Hey Google that you see in the corner. They are wonderful devices for the visually impaired. Of course, you can ask, the time, the date. You can play music. You can play podcasts. We'll get into the talking devices with the screens, which could do even more. You can set to-do lists. You can grocery shop. We do that a lot with our clients through Amazon or Walmart groceries to have them delivered to the door. A lot of our clients cannot get out of the home. They don't drive, or maybe they don't know yet how to use Uber. So the talking devices, the virtual assistant devices, are very, very helpful. Thermostat.
Along with the talking devices, anything we discuss that is a talking device also comes in large print. So there's large print and talking. Thermostat. I have been unable to read the printed word for 40 years. So regular font, I have been not been able to access for 40 years. So things like the thermostat, the newspaper, just signs anywhere. I have been unable to read. And these talking devices through the last couple of 10 years that have come along have just increased my independence immensely. A thermostat. I used to work a thermostat, but I was guessing. Now I could confidently walk up to a thermostat and put it to the exact temperature I want. Blood pressure cup. I could take my own blood pressure. Glucose monitors. Anybody who's diabetic can check their own glucose with a talking glucose monitor. Watches, clocks.
Yep. We have, I don't know if you mentioned that, even a talking measuring tape.
Yeah, yes.
We have several clients who are totally blind and they like to work in the garage. And there's talking tape measures, talking scales,
levels.
We have there's a device there with different colors. That's called a colorino. You can literally hold it onto your clothing item. It'll tell you the color of your shirt. There is another device here called a Voxcom, which is very simple to use. And you can, again, record information on it. It's the simplest device. We work with a lot of senior citizens, and maybe they don't want to learn how to use their smartphone or their computer to record information. It's very, very easy. So really, it's up to your imagination with how to use these devices. There's numerous ways to use them. Talking tiles. Some people might have seen the like key finder devices where you can put it on a remote or keys and press the button and it'll beep. There are a variety of those, or these talking tiles, you can actually just push on it and record information as well. So the amount of talking devices are endless. All right, we're going to go on to the next slide here. Pull it up here. Okay, prescribed devices. I thought we'd throw them in because they are obviously low tech. It's very important if you have vision loss to be seen by a low vision specialist, which is an optometrist or ophthalmologist who can actually prescribe magnifiers and different tools. We have a lady down at the bottom right corner. She's got built-in magnifiers that so she can read her mail, her paperwork hands-free without having a magnifier. Or we have telescopes down at the bottom to read perhaps street signs or board menus, anything in the distance. So it is important to prescribed low vision devices are an important part of your tools for independence. You want to say anything else about that?
No, not. I think it is important to see a low vision specialist if you're unsure. They have an abundance of knowledge on what is available, because one of the problems is we don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
So get out there with people who are familiar and know what is available, and at least meet with them to see what's available and what your options are.
Yeah, a low vision specialist will spend at least an hour of time with you or more. And basically, you would go to the appointment with some goals in mind,
Yeah.
whether it's reading the newspaper, um, maybe at work you need to access a smart board, or you want to cross the street. In some places, it's if your vision is good enough. Some states even to help you keep your driver's license. So there's a variety of things that the low vision specialist can do to help you meet your goals, if it is possible.
And I do encourage any of my clients that are going to see a low vision specialist, if they're going to be looking at any type of magnetic devices or talking devices, something to help them, I encourage that you bring in what you want to read. If it's a medicine jar, if it's a checkbook, if it's mail, if it's a catalog, if it's a magazine, if it's a newspaper, bring in as many things as you could possibly bring in that you want to read. So then when you're testing these devices, you're testing them on things that you're really going to be using, not just a white sheet of paper with black font and 12-point font that's perfectly legible. You want to read things like maybe smeared newspaper font, and because that's what you're going to be reading. So gather all your materials before you go, and then test out their products on what you're going to use it on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Now we're into the technology, the higher technology, types of technology for the blind and visually impaired. So again, we're going to start with the easiest and go to the more complex. Video magnifiers, we'll just list them all right now. Accessibility features for your computers or phones. Various apps for the visually impaired. Specific standalone scanning devices, and we'll go into each one of these. And then there are proprietary products specifically for the blind, such as Braille note takers, screen readers, which will read the computer screen, and devices like that we'll get into. All right, the first one we're going to talk about, maybe some of you have seen, are video magnifiers. Rick, do you want to talk about the different kinds?
Yeah, there's several different type of video magnifiers. I'll tell you, there's the desktop models. They come in a couple of different kinds. Tray table, where the monitor is very close to your face. That helps a lot of people, so they don't have to bend over. Takes up a lot of space, but it does seem to be helpful. And then there's the kind with a camera mounted top, where the monitor sits back about 1.5 feet on the table, and it's a little bit more portable, a little more convenient, but I notice a lot of people tend to lean forward to get their face closer to those monitors. They're all great. Those are a couple of the different types of desktop monitors. There's 5-inch monitors that are portable for reading price tags and menus. They're all self-lit. So all of these devices I'm speaking of have their own lights. So you can go into a perfectly dark room, turn on one of these devices, and it's well lit. So a 5-inch monitor, a 7-inch monitor, 10, 12, those would be the portable ones that you could bring with you for different reasons. Now the 5 and the 7-inch models would be best for menus. Some have just stands, some have handles.
We've got the electronic eyewear too.
Oh yes, I'll get into that. Yeah, that and the 10 and 12-inch models would be more for they're portable, so maybe if you're traveling for business or just traveling for pleasure, you could use them to read brochures in the hotel room. You could read business cards, whatever it may be. They are a little bit bigger, so you're not going to take them to a restaurant, but they are portable. You can bring them with you.
The important thing about video magnifiers versus just regular magnifiers is that you can adjust the size from 3x to, I think, 100x, 100 times.
And color contrast. So you could make it white on black, black on white, a number of different color contrasts to help. And that I found that to be most helpful with things like credit cards. A multicolor credit card, I could put my credit card under the monitor, and it's big enough, but because of the contrast, I can't read the numbers. So I will play with the color contrast until I get it to one where I can make out the numbers. So they're very, very convenient and very nifty to have.
Mm-hmm. And then we also have the electronic eyewear.
Yes. These are just like the desktop magnifiers or handheld magnifiers, but they're wearables. So you wear them on your face. They are not. I am almost certain that none of them are for mobility. You are not to wear them when you're walking
Or crossing
or
streets.
crossing streets, but you can. They can flip up, so you can wear them on your face and use your eyes, use your cane, whatever it is you're walking with, until you get to where you want to go. And maybe you get to a street, then you could flip them down to see the street signs or the restaurant signs to see where you're at. They're good for television. They're good for reading the paper and making things hand free. So you could sit in your recliner and use these wearable magnifiers, which also you can adjust the contrast, you can adjust the size, magnification, and you could sit on your back porch and watch your yard, watch the bird feeder,
Mhm.
a number of things.
And the price of these vary from about $500 to $3,500 or more.
Or more.
Many times your local agency for the blind and visually impaired, sometimes they actually have these to give out on long-term loan. They're not going to be the newest, the latest, and the greatest. But we're fortunate here in Florida that we do have a community that donates a fair amount that we let the individual use as long as it works for them. And we do have a couple questions. So we're going to get to your questions at the end. I do see a couple good questions about relearning driving. We'll talk about that. So I'll make sure I get to your questions. Okay. Let me get back to this. Okay. Accessibility features. So these are things you can do for your phone or your computer. Very simple built-in options. So the first one I have listed is called ease of access for UPC users. If from your start button, you just type in the word or the search bar down at the bottom left.
I type hi.
Type in ease of access from the start menu. And there's all kinds of ways that you can adapt to your PC. Do you want to mention a couple quick things you can do?
Yeah, these are. I am not a mouse user, so everything I do is with the keyboard and speech output. So I will just go to that start menu. I'll type in my word, ease, and then it'll pick up on where I'm going. I'll hit enter. I'll be in that category. Then I can go down to high contrast, negative. Click on that. Now I get white font on a black background. I can't read anything on the screen, but I don't want to stare into a blazing white screen. By the end of the day, I have a headache, my eyes are sore. And for those of you that can still read your screen, that black background, a lot of people seem to like that. And you could also
we have the black background for our PowerPoint as a demo with good. White text.
You can magnify. I don't know if anybody knows this, but if you're on the internet, you can do Control plus, Control minus to just zoom in and zoom out.
So, that's on there. And a Mac.
And Mac.
Mac is command.
Mac has everything built in. You do not need any third-party software if you own a Mac. Everything is in the accessibility settings. Mac also has a 24/7 accessible hotline for anybody that uses accessible features. So if you're blind or visually impaired, you need help with an accessibility feature like zoom or magnification, you call them and it's free. And they will walk you through the settings and help you get the settings set up you need. That's a very, very valuable service.
Back to the ease of access, you can increase the size of your mouse.
Yep.
There is a built-in magnifier, different kinds of magnifiers. One like a magnifying glass. You can magnify the whole screen. You can magnify a portion of the screen. You can increase the size of text and icons throughout your computer. So when you reboot your computer every time, it'll come up large. There's an on-screen keyboard. So you can put the keyboard on the screen if you want to just click, and that's easier. So there's a host of accessibility features just by typing the word ease of access or the phrase ease of access down at the bottom in the start menu. Rick mentioned the Zoom hotkeys that you could do right now. Like it doesn't work in Word. it works on the internet. The control plus, control minus. Hold the control key down and tap, tap, tap the plus. Every time you tap the plus button, your screen will get bigger, bigger, bigger. Or hold the control key and then tap the minus. It'll get smaller, smaller, smaller.
And if you forget how to get rid of it, if you just close the window, come back, it'll come back normal.
Okay.
So, yeah. So another thing with the mouse, when I was able to see the mouse, you could put a tail on it like a kite. So when you move it around, that kite tail's spinning around, and it really gives you something to see. And they also have a sonar. You tap the control key and you keep tapping it, and it sends out a circle from outside the mouse, so you can locate that mouse.
It looks like a target. Yeah. It puts a target around your mouse.
And it like a beacon, like on a sonar on a ship or something. You can make the cursor larger, fatter. So if you're typing, you can find the cursor a lot easier. So there's a number of low vision tech solutions for all computers and all smartphones.
The other thing I want to mention that I think is really important, if you go to Google Play, you can download a host of Google extensions. Most are free, which will make accessing the internet a lot easier. The built-in mouse that comes with the PC really isn't large enough for a lot of our clients, so you can download a special mouse called Custom Cursor. I use that one a lot. I have a big green mouse on my computer. I don't know if anybody can see it, or it disappears on my PowerPoint. There's another extension called Read Aloud on the internet, and it puts it up. I don't know if any of you use extensions, but up by the bookmark bar, it'll put a little picture of a megaphone. And if I go to the internet and I click that, it will literally take the text and it'll read it to me. So whatever text is on that page, I click on it, it'll read it to me. So, for example, if you have visual fatigue and you can't read for that long, that will help. There's another one, for example, called Mercury Reader, and you click on that, and it will eliminate all of the advertisements and all of the pictures to make it easier. It just puts the text up. So there are a whole host of free extensions through Google Play that you can add to your screen for mainly for accessing the internet, but for other options as well. And of course, the accessibility features for the smartphones, which are similar to what we just mentioned.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And we do a lot of training on smartphones. Okay, which brings us to the next PowerPoint, apps for the visually impaired. And what I did is I just kind of generalized, because there's so many different specific apps for the visually impaired. We'll just start from left to right, Rick.
Okay.
Mobility apps. There are dedicated apps for the blind and visually impaired. So
my favorite mobility app is called Soundscape. It's a free app. I downloaded. I have an iPhone. It's on my iPhone. And what I love about this app, it will call out the intersection I'm approaching when I'm about 15 feet away from it. So I know the intersection I'm at. It'll announce the cross street, and it'll announce the street I'm walking alongside of. That is great to keep me orientated. I know if I'm going closer or further from home. I've lived in my home now for just over 5 years. And now that I'm using this app to walk the neighborhood, I'm starting to learn the names of the streets. Because a lot of people don't realize, I'll move into a new neighborhood and I'll know where someone lives. But because I don't see street signs ever, I may not know what street they live on or the name of the street two blocks down. This app will read off the name of every intersection I cross. I could set beacons. So I could type an address in and put it into my phone and set my beacon to go to that address. And wherever I point my phone, it'll make a noise when I'm walking towards that address. So and that's just one app, and those are just a couple of things that app does. But that is my favorite app. Also, Siri, once again, the iPhone, I could say, "Where am I?" And it'll give me the address of where I am. So then if I'm lost, I can call a loved one. I can call Uber and put in my current location. They could pick me up from where I am and get me home. Or
Smartphones have a compass.
Yeah, there's a
That
compass. So I'll
built-in
know
compass.
if I'm going east, west. I can orientate myself now, and then I could say, regardless of where I am, I just use Siri and say walking directions to, and then dictate my address, and it'll get me walking directions home.
Yeah.
So I mean,
This is why it's important if you do have vision loss and you qualify for services at an agency for the visually impaired, which is generally 2070 is
cutoff.
the cutoff for services, 2070 acuity, or a bilateral progressive vision loss, or
Field loss.
a field loss, visual field loss would qualify you.
Yeah.
We also have accessible newspapers app. There's one called NFB Newsline, and if you're visually impaired and qualified, you can actually have access to up to 300 newspapers, magazines, or more for free on your phone that you can listen to. So, you get the New York Times for free, Wall Street Journal for free on your phone. We have a very popular one is called the Bard mobile app. And if you love reading audiobooks, it's, you can get as many audiobooks as you want instantly through the National Library of Congress. So generally they provide more books than you would ever get at your local library, and there's no wait time.
Yeah, audiobooks.
Audiobooks. It's an amazing app. I have that on there under audiobook app. Your agency for the visually impaired can help you sign up with that and qualify for
And it's
that.
free.
We have I'll let you do the sighted assistance apps. Okay. We have money reader apps if you can't identify your currency. There's just amazing options and solutions out there for people who are visually impaired. You want to go into the reading apps and the sighted assistance app?
Sighted assistance reading, and I'll start reading app with a barcode scanner. I could navigate stores I'm familiar with, so I can get back to the section where they sell the milk, but all the milk looks the same. So I will open an app on my phone, and I will go to the barcode scanner, hold up the milk, and it'll tell me if it's
just like your water here.
I could demo it. Let me turn the volume up.
For those of you who can see, he's got just a water bottle from Zephyr Hills.
Find my ACB link, Apple Store, Health, Seeing AI, Be My Eye, Seeing AI.
Seeing AI is the app, and there's different channels. Do you have a dollar?
He's got it.
No. Product, quick help, channel, product, person, product.
Now I'm just going to take the back of the camera on the phone.
He can't see where the barcode is, so he's rotating
spinning the bottle, and it'll make.
Processing. Zephyr Hills Water 100% natural spring.
So he's got it real fast because he's used to the speech.
Yes. So I got my speech fast, but it told me it was a bottle of water. So if I'm in a grocery store, salad dressing, I could tell the difference between white and red salad dressings. There's 1,000 different kinds of white salad dressings. I could use this barcode scanner to find the one I want.
Why don't you show it reading?
Seeing AI.
Oh, and this can
this.
Seeing AI.
We also this is really amazing. There are, and these are free apps. This same app here that he's got going really fast will read your mail and your handout. If you can't read the print, no longer able to read the print, it will actually take a picture and read it. And this is free. It's going to take a picture automatically. He holds the phone above the page.
Cancel.
Takes a picture.
Okay, now it's processed.
These are my notes for the presentation.
The on-screen keyboard. The on-screen keyboard MAG command plus on. PO control plus on Google extensions to increase web access. There are many. Here are a few. Middle dot read aloud. Highlight paragraphs of text to have read middle dot custom cursor.
So
for extra large.
It's saying middle dot for my bullet on my.
Yeah, it's saying
it's reading my little notes for this presentation.
Now I could take that. What I like about this app is I can now share this. I can go to the share button. I could email it to myself, get it into my computer, and edit this. So if I had a document that was handed to me, say at a meeting at work, that they handed out a document in paper, I'm done with paper. If I can get everything off of paper into my computer, that's what I'm doing. So I will scan that document, get it into my computer, and then edit it because it might not scan perfectly.
So we can go to the next slide.
So
then.
go ahead.
And it's 10:38. So we want to leave room for
Okay.
questions.
Yep.
Scanning devices. We just showed you one on your phone. Orcam.
Orcam. I'm sure many of you have seen Orcam. It's easier to use. I think it just goes on the arm of your on the arm of your glasses, and then you point at something, and it will read with an earpiece into your ear.
Like you have your glasses on,
Yep.
there's a little scanner, you point, and it'll literally start reading. It'll read food. Now, these are not cheap devices.
No.
This is about what, 4,500?
Yeah, and then they have the handheld model that doesn't go on your glasses for 22,000 or so. I would consider that more of an intermediate or low tech option. Those are for people that have a difficult time learning the iPhone or a smartphone. So if you know how to use a smartphone, I could put everything in this tool here. This is the one tool I need that pretty much does everything we're talking about. But not everybody is able to navigate their iPhone. So these devices work well for people that can't read their mail and want a simple solution for reading their mail.
Yes. We also have other scanning devices, the Alexa Show or the Google Nest Hub with the screen. Literally, you put the food product up and you say, "What is in my hand?" And it will, you slowly rotate it. It'll actually look for the print rather than the barcode on it and read it. So if you don't know if it's Campbell's noodle soup or chicken noodle soup, just slowly rotate it. It'll read it. There are also, again, we talked about those audio stickers, audio labels. You could record your own information on your medication bottles. Here's somebody down here, the way around tags. They are labeling their own food so they can identify it later. Those are magnet labels. And standalone scanning devices, which again are for people who cannot, maybe learn how to use their smartphone or their computer.
Yeah.
The one down in the bottom right corner is a lot cheaper than the Orcam, but it is not mobile.
Yeah, it's
you
not
can't
portable.
bring it with you. Okay, we're almost done because we got to take some questions here. Oh, screen readers and note takers for the blind. I'll just quickly talk about the Braille note taker. This is probably takes the most amount of training because obviously you need to know the Braille, but they do make standalone computers, if you will. They're called note takers, where you can do email, internet, everything, and have the Braille output. Oftentimes, teachers of the blind and visually impaired, they teach these in the schools or for college age students. But that's probably the most sophisticated device that requires the most amount of training.
Screen readers, is that what we're going into now?
We're going into screen readers.
Okay. Screen readers have come a long way. They're much more affordable than they once were. Everything is turning to subscription, so the screen readers did as well. So for $90 a month, $90 a year, $90 a year, I can get a subscription for what is called JAWS, Job Access with Speech, which is the speech output program for a PC. With a Mac, like I said, everything's built into it. You can get speech output in the Mac. You can get magnification in the Mac. You can also purchase magnification software for the PC at a yearly subscription rate. So it's much more affordable than it once was. Once upon a time, I'd have to come up with $1,300 to buy the software outright. And they made it much more affordable and easy to access. But if you have a Mac, if you have a PC, they can both be adapted to have either magnification or screen readers to work. Okay. Now, with that said, if you're going to be using a screen reader of any kind, brush up on your typing. The better you can type, the better you will be able to use a computer with a screen reader, because you will no longer be using the mouse. Everything will be with the keyboard.
There's a lot, if you can still see fairly well, there are a lot of free online typing programs. I think typing.com is a free one, and you can practice touch typing, learn how to touch type. That is so important.
Yes.
especially if you're worried about, the possibility of future vision loss. That's something you can do at your house for 20 minutes a day, typing. Okay, I think we need to start addressing some of the questions. And let's see. Somebody mentioned, would complete loss of vision in one eye qualify for your services? That's a good question. Not in our agency, because we have a lot of clients who are totally blind in one eye and can, if they can see 20/70 or better, they wouldn't qualify. However, it kind of depends on the agency. We allow anybody to be a client because we believe knowledge is power. So they may not qualify
for state funding.
for state funding, really is what it is. But they can attend any of our classes via Zoom,
In
just
person.
so they know what is available in case they're worried about losing more vision. So kind of depends on your agency, but knowledge is power. Learn everything you can to help yourself, be independent or know what's available. I think it also helps
Meet other people.
you meet other
Yeah,
people.
that sounds important. Like just to know your resources. So
Hmm.
thank you again, Rick and Wendy, for your
Mhm.
presentation. Real quick, before we take the rest of the questions, I just want to make sure everybody knows where they can put those questions. So if you
Hmm.
have questions, you need to drop them in the chat. So there's going to be a section as you're listening where it's going to say chat, and you're going to be able to type in questions as you have them. So any of you guys who commented, if you had something that didn't really look like a question to us, we're going to need you to send us something with a question mark so that we know that you're actually asking a question. So if you do have questions about, like I think we had a couple different ones about driving, um, then those would be ones to go ahead and drop those in the chat for us.
Yeah, I was going to address, every state has different driving laws with acuity,
Field.
um, visual field. Every state, you can look online and see what that is. And some states do provide programs, training programs for people who are visually impaired that would still qualify with the tools. They do allow that. We're in Florida, and there's not a lot of services to help people drive, but there are states that do. So look that up. Talk to your eye doctor. Your eye doctors will know that information as well. And there are programs, especially to help you use the bioptics. They're called bioptics.
And I think
Would
this.
you guys recommend, just as far as low vision goes, do you feel like it's a reasonable recommendation to have something like, what's it called, a blind spot detection sensor on your vehicle? If you can have that installed, or like have a vehicle that has that, is that like, I just know with one eye,
Mhm.
my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that when I only have one working eye, that my depth perception is now
Correct.
gone.
Oh yeah.
That's correct.
Hmm.
And so parking, and this was kind of talked about a couple times in comments, but parking for me, like getting close to something can be really, really challenging because I
Yeah.
can't tell how close I am to it. I mean, I can within a certain range just based on logic. But it can feel pretty challenging to know, like, if I'm close enough to a vehicle to be safe or if I'm too close.
Yeah,
Hmm.
those detectors are nice. They come. Most new cars have them now, don't they? The back.
Yeah, ours
Yeah,
ours does. The car is 5 years old, so
yeah. So when you're in
and it
reverse,
has it.
so when you're parking, like you said, and you're getting close to an object, or even pulling out of a grocery store,
Hmm.
if you, it has a pretty wide field of view as well. So if you're backing up and there's a shopping cart behind the car next to you, it will detect that as well. So that's helpful. So you don't injure somebody else.
Yeah, I wanted to just reiterate that this is kind of what we say. If there's a time to be visually impaired, now is a good time,
Yes.
because there are so many solutions out there to help people maintain their independence. There's a study, I don't know where I read it, that 99% of activities of daily living can be done with your eyes closed. There is a tool, a tip, a technique, an app to enable you to do that. There's even free apps that you hold it up in front of someone's face and someone walking down the hall and it will detect your coworker, if you have it programmed in and say, Danae is walking down the,
This.
the hallway. So it's all about solutions. Our job is to help people find solutions. And if you're willing to put in the time and learn, um, you know,
It can.
it's
There's something out there that can help you with your independence.
yes.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, so I was taking some notes on my phone, so let me pull this up
Sure.
real fast because I know I had a couple specific
Okay.
questions just myself. I did really like the color contrast measuring cups. Never heard of that. That was cool, and I feel like that would help me like in putting stuff in, to know to
Yeah.
know that like it's
Full.
There's a
full.
million
Yeah,
cooking
because
tools
that's
and
another
tips.
depth perception thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
Is
we
knowing when
only
something
showed
is
you
full.
one. If you go online, I mean,
Uh-huh.
YouTube is a fabulous source. There's a lot of people are visually impaired, and you can say, how do you cook, or how do you access the oven, or how any tool or task that you want to do, look it up on YouTube. Somebody shows you how to do it who's visually impaired.
Okay, real quick. Somebody had a question. Nikki Doyle had a question of what was the app that reads notes out loud?
That was the Seeing AI. Seeing SEEING AI, artificial intelligence.
I was
That
going to
is,
say, doesn't AI mean artificial
Yes.
intelligence?
Yes.
it's only available on the iPhone. Now on the Android, they have something called Envision AI, but it's
It
subscription
costs about
based.
$30 a
Yeah,
year. They might have changed it.
and I think it's almost identical,
It
but you
is.
do have to pay for that one. And that
Okay.
that app has a quick text where once I point my phone at something, it will immediately read something. It has the document scanner I showed you that will scan a document. That's the same app I read the barcode with as well. And it has a currency reader. It will read money as well. It does all those things on one app.
And it's free.
And
That
it's
one
free.
that one is free.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So you mentioned the desktop video magnifier, and I know we also talked about some of the settings where you can, like, do the plus and minus to zoom in on the screen and different things like that. As far as like when you have monovision or um, maybe really low vision in one eye and then normal vision in the other,
Mhm.
would you recommend like is it better for your good eye, I guess, to kind of use that bigger font as much as possible?
Personally, if I will read the smallest font I can comfortably, if I could read, I would try to read as independently as I can of any devices. I will turn to a device when I can no longer read without that device, if that makes any
And
sense.
it
No,
depends
that
on the
makes sense.
person.
Yeah.
It does depend on the person and their vision impairment. Some people do get visual fatigue, more often than others. So it's really an individual basis
Mhm.
on, the tools and the tips. And it's important to have a kit of tools, if you will, um, to refer to. So it's not
Okay.
just one device that will help
Well,
people.
and that makes sense too. And that there might be different times that you would need to rely on vision tools, like if you're very recently mono, like due to treatment. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with the ocular melanoma treatment, but
Mhm.
a lot of the times it leaves you with one vision, like one
Mhm.
eye
Okay.
monovision. And so for me, I had probably 2 or 3 months of adjusting, of just like, wow, my whole brain is overwhelmed by
Mm.
everything
Yes.
that I'm trying to see, that I'm trying to do. I couldn't even walk in the grocery store without feeling like completely overwhelmed for
Right.
probably at
Yeah.
least a month.
Wow.
Right.
So like things like this, these would be helpful to use, maybe immediately following some kind of a surgery where you do go from having vision in both eyes to then, obviously having vision in only one eye. Let's double check the chat really fast. I don't see any other questions coming in. So thank you guys for your
I was
questions.
gonna I was gonna add one more thing if I can. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're
We
fine. We
spoke.
just got to wrap up pretty quick.
Okay, we spoke of all these tools. Um, I still feel I am the best tool in my toolbox. If I need help, I am going to ask. If I'm in the store, I'm going to grab the next person that walks by a lot of the times and say, "Is this decaf coffee?" And I'm
This sounds smart.
they will help me
Public
always.
assistance, is
Yes,
independence. Using
yes,
public assistance when you need it. That is
absolutely.
independence. which we'll talk about in our next slide.
I feel like that's really important, just to self-advocate
Yes.
and make sure that you really are aware of what you need and how to ask for it, and just to learn as you go. So thank you again, Rick and Wendy. You guys seriously had some amazing tips. I know just with my own monovision, like some of these things were great. Like the rubber band on the shampoo bottles when you're closing your eyes in the shower.
Yeah.
I've never even thought of that before. That
Yep.
was amazing. So thank you guys again for sharing. Okay, let me see where we're at.
Turn this volume down on my phone.
And I guess let's say bye to Rick and Wendy, and thank you guys for being here. So thank you again. Everybody wave, virtually
Thank you,
wave.
Thanks for having
everyone.
us.
I can see some pictures of who's.
I know, you guys go check out the social wall and make sure to go check out their exhibitor booth and their exhibitor tile. You can see like where they're at. They'll be, if you guys are able to. Are you guys going to be hanging out at all in the booths?
I don't know if I've seen that. But
I don't know if you guys are for sure, but if you guys have more questions, drop them on the wall and we will make sure that Rick and Wendy can see them, and we'll see if we can get those answers to them.
Yes, and Lauren has my email too. So if anybody has a question, she can email me, and we can respond. So
okay, wonderful. All right.
Okay.
All right, thank
Yep,
you
we're
again.
back at 11. Yep.
And yes, so Rick and Wendy will be coming up in our next session, and they're actually going to be speaking again on kind of just dealing with the loss of vision. So let's see. Got to get over here to my slides.
So
make sure they work.
I'm gonna say goodbye because it's a different session. We have to log out.
Yes, we will come back in just a little bit for our next session. So bye, Rick and Wendy. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay.